I've lived 1,000 lives. I've piloted 1,000 souls. I've killed and fought and died just for another role.
This is the Happy Jacks RPG Podcast, a roundtable discussion that's a mix of friendship, humor, unbridled enthusiasm, and tabletop RPG topics sent in from around the world.
Just for another role.
Hello. Welcome. You're both very quiet.
Well, we were waiting for the preamble.
Oh, okay. Welcome to Season 30, Episode 6 of the Happy Jacks RPG Podcasts. My name is Kimmy.
I'm Joey.
I'm Stork.
And in today's episode, Verk from California, but currently in DC, that's a very important thing he wants us to mention, writes in about using stars and wishes with surprising outcomes. Weasel Creature ran Hero Kids for kids. And Micah shares about how she discovered Happy Jacks. If you'd like to contribute a question or a story to the show, you can email us at happyjacksrpg@gmail.com. That's happyjacksrpg@gmail.com. All right, announcements. Very exciting. Jackercon is coming.
Yay!
So Jackercon is our fan-run online convention, and it is amazing and fantastic, and it's a whole lot of fun. So mark it on your calendars. It's going to be July 22nd through 24th. It pretty much goes 24 hours a day because we have people participating from all different time zones around the world. So wherever you are in the world, there will probably be a game for you. And if you want to run a game, great. And you can find more information about that at happyjacks.org/JC. That's the letters JC for Jackercon. I figured that was easier to remember. And the rules and stuff are there. You will have to join the Discord. If you've never used Discord before, I put a happy little link there that says, "What is Discord?" And you can click that link and learn all about what Discord is before you join that chat program and hopefully partake of our convention. It's totally free. And again, that's July 22nd through 24th. And super big thanks to the Jackercon team who run that server and put up with my over-enthusiastic trying to get this settled on the calendar. So yay.
And I was always amazed at Jackercon. It was like the ultimate compliment that just a group of people that listened to our quirky little podcast were so moved that they started a whole convention, an online convention, back when that was even pre-pandemic, when it was still really hard to do.
Yeah.
And it was Kurt DT Pints, who I don't know if he still runs it.
Yeah.
But,
Oh yeah. He put up with me.
Oh.
he was very patient. I appreciate it.
And I found out that just the highest compliment, that just on their own, the fan community decided to have a Happy Jacks convention, which is so cool.
Happy Jacks, bringing people together.
Yeah.
We need like a happy little theme song about that. Together, Happy Jacks.
Happy Jackers jacking.
No.
No.
Different website.
Yeah. All right. All right. That's it. So start on mailbag number 1.
I'll take number 1.
Okay.
Greetings, Empress Kimmy and the Jacker Court of Laser Printed Heroes.
Ooh.
I can't remember if it was mentioned on the show or somewhere on Discord, but someone mentioned Stars and Wishes. I really hate that name. Fair. Don't agree, but I can understand why. I realized I hadn't done that with my group for this campaign. We are 10 sessions in, and the response I got kind of floored me.
Just to sum up, Stars and Wishes is a what?
It's a post-game mechanic where you kind of talk to your team and kind of figure out, what do you like about what we're doing in the campaign? What do you want to see in the campaign? Kind of a way for the players to get feedback to the GM in a format so it's not like you feel like you're giving them notes, but it's kind of like, we really love when you did this, but also we want more zombies. Things like that.
So you give stars to things you like already, like, hey, gold star. And then, hey, this is going good, but I wish this could happen.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where it got the name Stars and Wishes. And it's a little bit of, I'm a teacher, so like gold star, like I'm like, yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah. It's positive reinforcement, which everybody likes.
No, and I get it. And it's a nice little add-on you can put in your game as a GM to have. It's a little touchstone to figure out if you're doing the right things, if you need to change anything. It's a chance for everybody to speak up. And yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
I think it's actually, well, you finish the email and then
Okay.
I'll talk.
Okay. I was very proud of the gothic horror feel and intensity of the game I was having. Every session was important and choices mattered. Everyone still goofs around and has fun, but everything they did had consequences, good and bad. Then two of the players and their wishes basically said, love the game, but can we have like a beach episode or something where we can we do whatever we want and not risk being killed? On one hand, I'm annoyed because this is what we all signed up for in session 0. On the other, I clearly need to take it down a couple notches and let the players relax. I'm trying to decide if instead of giving them more lighthearted sessions in-game, maybe I should just throw in more goofy one-shots every few games. That way they can get it out of their system and still keep the main campaign's mood and setting. What do you all think? Any other ideas? Bert from SoCal, but currently living in DC. P.S. This is copied from my post on the Discord. It's a great place. You should all join. Which, yes, everybody should be on Discord.
Not Dacord.
No.
Dan
full
joke for the win.
full disclosure, Verk is one of our mods, so he's a little
Yes.
biased, but it is a cool place.
Yes.
So I love Stars and Wishes, like with a little bit of a cheesy name. Like, yeah, I acknowledge that. I actually like it so much and think it's so important that when I was, well, I'm still designing Starscape. I actually built in a very similar mechanic to the end of session moves because it's PBTA, so there's moves at every point where you kind of, kind of mention what your character, like their goal is for the next session, and that plays in mechanically because as a GM, that's such a valuable thing. It's so important, and I know I'm getting off track a little bit because he had a very specific question we were supposed to answer, but I want to impress upon people, especially players, if there's one thing you can give your GM/DM, it's a little bit of an idea of what you'd like to do. And that makes our job so much easier and so much less stressful because it's like, hey, I already know they're interested in this thing. So it's really great.
To your point, I absolutely agree with your players on this, having been in a couple of campaigns that have been very, very dark, which I love. I love a dark, serious, let's go, let's Helm's Deep into hell, like let's figure it out. But to kind of take a cue from my other background, which is musical theater, you really pay attention to a lot of serious shows that have a really serious second act. They always have at least one or two numbers that are light, that are comical. They're going to give the audience a chance to breathe. If you look at West Side Story, it's Officer Krupke in the middle of the second act. If you look at Les Mis is a bad example, but Officer Krupke is a great example of this. You need to give the audience a moment to breathe, because if you don't, they're going to feel so bogged down, they're not going to be able to handle anything else. So I think really giving your players, maybe not even say a beach episode, but it's a lighthearted episode. Maybe give them a small side quest where they get a win. I love games where there's consequences and your choices mean something, but a lot of times those games tend to go in a spiral, especially when the dice don't go your way, where a lot of things are going to go wrong and your players are going to feel like they're losing D&D, which you can't. If you can't win D&D, you shouldn't be able to lose D&D. So give them chances to succeed, especially if they've had a lot of fails in a row. Give them something that's going to be lighthearted, maybe not necessarily in tone, but lighthearted in motivation, so that they can get a win. They can chalk a win on their tally, and then they can keep going with a new sense of hope and drive.
I agree. I'm of two minds because I get it. You're trying to cast a spell here and create a tone, and you don't necessarily want to interrupt it with a goofy side quest. I get that because it dispels it. But there are ways you can maybe make it happen in the game, like a shopping episode. Everybody likes to shop. It's a good chance to resupply. You can do some things. You could even do stuff where people maybe reach back and touch on their backstories without it being totally tragic. There's some ways I think that you can do this in game where they're not being completely hunted by the monster at all turns, at all times, and gives them a palate cleanser, a breather.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, you could have a goofy psychos. You could just have a simple bar fight that doesn't actually, end with an elder god being summoned from behind the bar to attack them. It could just be a simple bar fight or something completely innocuous, and still be interesting without it threatening their life at all times.
Yeah, because people get really emotionally involved, even though we're like playing characters. Like our real emotions are involved too. So like that constant tension, that it just gets exhausting as a player, as a person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it those moments of just okay, now we're back and ready to get into like the tension again. It's just really, really important.
And it happens sometimes it happens without you even realizing it. Like
Yeah.
a good example is when we had the Monster Hearts AP on here.
Yes.
We were all in it to win it, and I was so excited about that game every week. But it got to the point I was excited, but also like I almost dreaded coming to the studio because it was like I have to put myself through this again, and I'm very excited about it, but also I am so drained. And there wasn't really a chance for levity in that game, and I think if there was, it would have improved the game both inside and outside of the game. But
It's an intense thing to go through. I mean, I talk often about how actors who have to go through, this trauma every day and twice on Sundays, they have to seek ways to get in touch with their humanity again, whether it's going to Disneyland or drinking heavily. But whatever it is, sometimes you just need that release valve because our bodies don't know that we're pretending. Our bodies still react
Right.
physically to this. Maybe I brought this up last episode, but our bodies still react like we are under threat. And it can have a physiological it can affect you physiologically.
Yes.
It's not just in your head. It's not just a game. Your body doesn't know the difference between an actual tiger coming out to jump you and one that you think is there for pretend purposes. Your body will still react that way, and it can be unhealthy and can be. So I guess I'm saying have some lighthearted stuff in there so that your players, their anxiety goes down.
I see. Oh,
I know what you're saying. You don't want this to turn into Scooby-Doo. You don't want to undo all of the hard work that you have done to cast this pall and to make this thing serious. And I totally get that. But I think it sounds like you're a good enough GM that you can pull off an episode that isn't dark and gloomy the entire time and not undermine your overall party. I really don't. I think you're good enough to pull this off.
every setting has some light. Every setting has some room to breathe, with maybe the exception of Barovia, which is just, it's Barovia. But yeah, find those moments in your setting and in your game where you can let the characters breathe a little. Again, it doesn't have to be a beach episode. It doesn't have to be happy-go-lucky, let's go skiing. It can be just a moment where the players get a wind, they get in touch with their humanity, they get to see the good side of humanity, they get to see the good side of your campaign and your setting.
it could be a shopping episode.
That's what
We
I'm
love a
saying.
shopping
That's what
episode.
I was saying. A shopping episode, it lets people like resupply, gives them ownership of some of the items, like we talked about a couple episodes ago about the horses and all of that. It gives them a chance to like maybe and talk to each other and bond with each other some more without having to derail the game.
Yeah, as GMs, we tend to want to make sure we're always giving our players something, and sometimes we just give them too many things. I see this a lot with younger teachers who plan out like every single moment of the day and exactly this much time, and then we'll do this and then we'll do this, which is great, especially when you're first getting going. But you start to realize like there's ebb and flows, and you have to have that, okay, we're going to have this long. Oh, we need a little bit longer. We don't have to stick by this super rigid schedule. So as a GM, you need to kind of reflect on that too. Like, am I constantly pushing them, or are they leading? Like, is it more like I'm hurting and pushing them along and they're kind of like, okay. Or am I racing to catch up? Because it's always better to be in the racing to catch up because your players are so enthusiastic about the story than it is to feel like you're kind of like driving them along.
In sticking with the school analogy, it has been proven that you have an intense morning and then you need recess.
Yes.
And recess is very important, and then they come back and they work hard again.
Yeah.
So maybe you just need a recess.
Absolutely. You need a recess. Shopping episode, beach episode. This is our official Happy Jacks advice. All right. Email number 2. Do you want to do it, Stuart?
Oh, sure.
Okay.
Greetings, Kimmy and the Jackholes. Life happens, and I haven't been able to run a game for a couple of years now. Still playing plenty, thank the gods.
Woo.
Just like last weekend, my wife and I were in charge of the RPG rooms at Game School Con, and I got the chance to run some games.
Woo.
Keeping in mind this con. Keeping in mind.
Maybe is what they're
Okay,
looking for.
maybe it was. I'm navigating my way through this sentence. And emerge surprise on the other end. Keeping in mind this con is for school age kids. we get players from 4 to 18 years old. For my first game, I ran Iron Kingdoms, and it was all teenagers, but the shining moment came when a player who had never played an RPG got the last hit on the boss. She was so excited, and the table cheered for her.
Yay.
My second game was Hero Kids, and the kids were 5 to 10 years old. I thought I'd try something new. Well, new to me. I'm sure others have done this, but I didn't have an adventure planned. The selling point was that we were going to craft the adventure at the table. What I envisioned was my asking some questions like, what type of bad guys do you want? What type of adventure sounds fun? Exploring a cave, ships and pirates, etc. But the kids gave me some answers. And the kids giving me some answers. Well, as soon as I said, okay, it's time to design our adventure, I was flooded by excited suggestions ranging from maybe the mayor's son is kidnapped, there should be an island with a skull cave, and up to we get betrayed by a fairy. It was so fun collating their input and tossing together a quick adventure that I was able to fit everything in, including a werebear, when the tracker, some big animal tracks, just said, maybe it's a big cat or a werebear. As much fun as I had, I was tickled to the core when one of the players in the middle of a combat blurted, I am having so much fun! Roll the dice like your life depends on it, Weasel Creature. Weasel Creature's been a fan for a long, long time.
Yeah.
And at various cons and such.
That's
Good to see you,
amazing.
Weasel Creature. Glad to see you here. And yeah. I love that.
So good.
It's funny we've been doing this long enough now that all the people that were asking us gaming advice are now gaming the younger generation, and now they're asking us advice on what to tell the young kids.
Well, some of the people who were kids when we started this are now adults GMing and writing in, asking us for opinions.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah, I think one of the best things about gaming with kids or just working with kids is that just total honesty and enthusiasm. Like, they're not having fun, you were going to know it. There's no like polite, I'm going to sit here for 4 hours and just do my best. You will not make it 10 minutes.
No.
But then when they have fun, they're just like, I'm having so much fun.
Best day ever.
Ever. Yeah. And it's these moments that are like the little like seeds that grow the hobby, because these kids will always remember this game, and they'll probably become some sort of gamers, and then their kids and their kids and their
I
kids.
guarantee you they all went home and told line by line, step by step, what happened in the game to the family at dinner.
Yeah.
That's what my daughter did, which we'll get to maybe in a bit. But it really stimulates the imagination. We kind of forget, we get a little jaded. Oh, this sort of hobby is so hard to do, and oh my god, the guy over there that I was jamming for, he was on his phone the whole time, blah blah blah. But it's moments like this where you're like, oh yeah, this is supposed to be fun, and it is fun. We kind of forget.
Yeah.
And when we're in a band, it's a lot of hard work, and we go to rehearsals, and there's all the infighting and just trying to craft this thing and all of the stuff that happens that, when a lot of people get together for a long period of time. And then when you get out there and you get that cheer and you're like, oh yeah, I remember. This is fun. People enjoy this.
This is
Oh,
fun.
yeah.
We're actually good at this.
I forget these things. I
Yeah.
get so caught up.
Yeah.
Remember these things. This is it. It's important and it's fun.
This is really impressive though, because the age range, like the fact that the con is for 4 to 18-year-olds,
How do you plan for that?
that there is zero way to plan for that. I'm going to tell you right now, as someone who has a master's degree, like there is zero way to plan an adventure that is interesting for a 4-year-old and also for an 18-year-old, unless the 18-year-old is like there with a 4-year-old they care about and just being really good about it. That's hard. And then the fact that Weasel Creature was running games for 5 to 10-year-olds. That's wild. That we're talking about.
And multiple games on the same day.
Yeah, we're talking about a kindergartner. That's what 5 years old is, and a 4th grader or 5th grader, which is 10 years old.
That's really impressive, Weasel Creature. I see you had to put that together for me. I just said, oh, kids, they're out.
Yeah.
And I kind of assumed that he had groups of different ages. Well, he did say the first game was for teenagers, and then the second game wasn't. But yeah, you're right. The age difference and sophistication between 5 and 10 is huge.
Even with like a 5-year-old, they're learning. Most of them are learning their letters. They might be like, "A, oh, that makes ah," so they're not reading it all. They're probably not doing addition. Some kids could probably count pips, or if like very very basic if you're having help. So that's impressive. And Hero Kids, I know we've talked about it a lot on the podcast, is a fantastic system for this. I've seen it run. Stu ran it and I helped him run it for some kids at a couple cons. And like the character sheets are all coloring, which I totally stole for a kids game I'm designing because it's the best idea ever.
Right?
But yeah, I just like I have never gamed with kids quite that young, and like I've taught preschool and I've taught kindergarten, but that's something I feel like I need to try just to see how it goes. Because 5 years old, like you can get amazing ideas, and they are so good-hearted usually. Like they will be the ones who you like, oh, these are the trolls who kidnapped the princess, and they're like, we'll bake them cookies and get the princess back, and you're like, absolutely you will. Those are the best cookies ever made, and you did a great job. And they just come up with such cool ideas because they have no preconceived notion. Most of them haven't they've watched movies and stuff, but they don't connect the plot so much, and they still are really dealing with cause and effect. They don't quite get that unless it's a very simple story. So they like, oh, we make friends with the person, and then we like go play handball, and you're like, okay, the princess is the referee during handball, and your team wins. Good job.
The difference between role-playing game and their actual pretend play life is so the veil is really thin there, because I remember being fascinated at watching my kids play, and they would get together with others. All right, let's pretend, and they would pretend intensely for 20 minutes, and then go off and pretend something else. And like you just said, the story sort of meanders, and they change things. I'm going to be this. I'm going to do this, and
Yeah.
And so their imagination and their pretend play time anyway is very similar to a role-playing game. It's just that now you have a dice and a randomizer, which is kind of exciting. They kind of stay on topic, but they're already role-playing in daily life anyway.
Yeah.
This just makes them sit down.
It's
and
exactly the same thing.
It is.
I used to tell my parents, because my parents, well, you're gonna do what? And that seems weird. Like, okay, it's basically adult poker night, but we're playing pretend.
Yeah.
And I'm an actor, you know this, right? So
Right.
think of it as theater
Well,
sports.
this is also the parents who, when I was in high school playing D&D for the first time, I had to write a paper for English class, and chose to explain to my parents in this paper why D&D was not satanic. And it was I had to like research stuff and like prove my points, and got like a 98% on the paper, so I threw that at them like, there, I proved it. You can read it if you want. I'm gonna go play now. But yeah.
Wow, that's intense.
Yeah. My daughter she just turned 2 like last week, but for like the last like 6 months, she's started pretending. And it started like we bought her a little kitchen set, and she like, mama eat. And you're like, okay, what is it? She's like, oatmeal. And you're like, oh, nom, 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 nom. And it's so funny to watch that progression of the very first pretend is her pretending to do things she's seen, to now, like the last 2 weeks, she's started pretending to be animals. So it's like this interesting progression of copying, and now she's starting to like create herself. She's obsessed with sea otters right now.
Who isn't, though?
Right, they're so
Otters
cute,
are the
right?
best.
Yeah.
So I keep like when I'm sitting down, she'll be like, Mama, baby sea otter. And she'll like crawl on me and lay, and then pretend she's like smashing clams to eat them. And it's super cute, but it's like a lot because she wants to do it a lot. And
It's 98 degrees here, and we're like, Mama's really hot and needs to get up. And you're
usually I'm
right
like-
on Mama's bladder.
yeah, well, and I'm like sitting, and I'm usually like typing, like, Mama, sea urchin, eating sea urchin. And you're like, okay, you said sea urchin?
That
How
is
did you
so
learn that?
adorable.
It is, but it's interesting watching that progression of copying to their own thing, and then eventually probably the like creating stories. She hasn't gotten to like the narrative place, so I feel like that's I know because I have a master's degree in education, but I know that that's the next step. But it's fascinating to think about how that would go into like game design and planning as a GM for games for kids.
I was literally watching my kids when they were younger, like with playtime with other kids and such, role play. Like, you play this, and you're going to be the bad guy, and I'm going to be the good guy, and they would like then leap around with capes or whatever it was, making up a story right then and there. It's exactly what we're doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
We just
so
have
they get it.
rules. Yeah.
Like light rules.
Well, yeah.
Because they kind of like the idea of dice. It's like,
Yeah.
so if I roll this, and then because now all of a sudden, instead of just being freeform, they're like, and it's but again, it has to move quick because their attention span starts to shift.
100%.
So
Instead of them just arguing about what really happened.
Right.
Which is what happens.
right.
No, I hit you. You did not hit me. No, I went like this, and it went.
Yeah,
No, I
that's
hit you. Yeah.
That's exactly how it plays out. Yep.
All right.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, but yes, gaming with kids is something that I'm fascinated about, and it's very interesting to see how it makes them develop. So
I mean, as a grown-up, I mean, all this advice that we give is basically trying to get in touch with your inner child, to like have the
Yeah.
confidence and the courage to just pretend again, be
Yeah.
imaginative. And I think we can learn a lot from just how free kids feel about just pretending to do stuff. And we still have we put all this weird baggage on us. I know role play. Why? Because why not? And nobody's going to really judge you. It's all about having fun. It's all about pretend. And just go watch a kid play someday, and you're like, oh my God, they're so imaginative and free with it, and they don't care.
Yeah.
Or whatever it is.
yeah. Plus, there's all the studies that show that as adults, the more creative you are, the longer you live, and the better like your brain holds up in old age. So
Mhm.
there you go. There's like another, other than just being fun. Well, hopefully, we'll have all our faculties a little longer.
We should write an acting book about the connection between role playing games and pretending as a kid and trying to get back in touch with your inner child and being a kid.
We'd make
Being-
a bazillion
Don't
dollars.
tempt me, Storko.
That's what I need. Another project.
Right? Talk to me after the wedding.
Yeah. So I was telling Joy earlier. Sorry. Side story about my cute daughter. So she is the flower girl in Joy and Adam's wedding, and she's been practicing. So we have her little basket, and we fill it with rose petals. The first time we're like, okay, so you walk and you throw some, and she's like, okay. So she threw like one handful, and then she dumped it out and like started stomping on the petals, like immediately, like, oh, puddle, stomp, and you're like, that'll be hilarious, but maybe no.
I'm ready for the chaos.
There will be chaos. All right, mailbag number 3. Thank you for being patient with my stories about my daughter. All right. Hey, Kimmy and all the laser printed heroes. Micah from AK, Arkansas. Right?
Nope, Alaska.
Alaska. That's, yeah, good. Okay. I'm a teacher. It's fine. To be fair, I don't teach American history. I teach California history. So if you want to know about the rancheros and like the orange fields in Burbank, I can tell you all about that. Writing it in with a gaming success story. This is a long one, so refresh yourselves. Ta-da! Yeah, geography. Shush. Don't at me. Back in March 2020, I was one of the multitude of workers sent home at the start of the pandemic. I found myself stuck with lots of free time and an overactive imagination, in dire need of an outlet. After listening to Jib's #JustUsHeroes and Kimmy's Eidolon Academy APs, both of which I adored, I was inspired to try and find a masks group to play in. Unfortunately, games were in short supply, so I embraced a lesson I learned when I first jumped into the hobby. If you can't find a game, you better damn well start one. Well done, well done. With the state of the world in March 2020, in-person gaming was, shall we say, inadvisable. So I reached out and posted an ad on an online game on the Happy Jacks Facebook and Discord. This was my first time trying to put together an ongoing game with complete strangers, and I have to say I hit the happy jackpot.
Nice. That's
Love
excellent.
that. That's very good.
Yep,
I
that's
like
excellent.
I like it. My group consisted of an absolute killer's row. DT Pints of Jackercon fame, Stork's daughter Emily, Jim, aka Team Banana, and 3 Happy Jacks hosts, Adam, Joey, and Jason. Damn.
Yeah.
Like, damn.
Yeah.
That's a good table. My group, It was, without hyperbole, the best thing to happen to me in both the years 2020 and 2021. And I have never been blessed with such a creative, and the best gaming experience of my entire life. I have never been blessed with such creative, caring, and hilarious players. For just under a year, we had a weekly outlet of pure positivity, of joy, and of laughter, and in an isolated and uncertain world. There are some moments of joy I'd like to share. I'm getting like a little choked up. Okay. So here are the moments. Joey and I tearing up as we have an in-character father-son talk. His character's father, a retired hero, telling him, "Every day I draw the sword. I took my life in my hands. Every day you draw the sword, you take my life in your hands." Oh my God.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever cried from an RPG before, but I got pretty misty-eyed. I did too.
Emily would come and tell us every day about this, so I was going to wait till the end. But I am in awe of Micah's choices and GMing, and this is just one example of many, of many.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
sounds like she's
No,
doing
this scene
fantastic.
was fantastic,
Yeah.
and it was one of those moments that just happens so organically, and you just start riffing off each other, and you're in the scene, and it's one of those moments like we were talking about a second ago, where like acting and RPGs just meld perfectly.
Yeah.
And so if you want to cry, put me in your game, because I'll make it happen. I'll do it.
Right. And that's such a parent thing to say.
Oh yeah.
Like it is like your heart is like walking out like away from you and out of your chest is your child. You're just like, "Oh, my heart, please be careful." Oh man. Laurelyn's gonna like be old enough to leave. I'm not talking about that. All right. Later on, emotionally scarring Joey. Oh, I emotionally scarred Joey by asking if his high school student character was off book for the school play. Ooh.
Rude.
Right?
That
Keep
was
it
like-
home.
Oh man, line day was like
Oh man, it's still. I'm breaking out a cold sweat with you just saying
right.
it.
Here's the thing. For Joey, I never worried about it. I'm always the first one off book. This character, however, was not.
Oh.
And it was... I took psychic damage.
I wasn't. I was always the person who was like swim team in the morning, quickly getting changed, like looking at my lines because I knew that afternoon was rehearsal where I was supposed to be memorized. Like every class, like subtly just like beating everything or like everything. It was terrible.
In my high school, the theater program had been closed for many years,
Mm-hmm.
and this woman came in and started it up again, and we literally, it was one of these moments we're sweeping out the theater and going up the rafters and playing it. Anyway, I auditioned and got the lead of the play, Mouse of the Roar. And I was in almost every scene and had a ton of lines. And bearing in mind, I had never really memorized that much in my life. It was a cold sweat because I'm like, I'm gonna let everybody down, and I'm up in my room all day, every day after school, scene after scene after scene after scene.
Okay, so
And
it's, for clarifying for the chat, because they're all like, "We're not theater kids. What does off book mean?" So off book means that's the day you're expected to have the play memorized.
Yeah.
So you're expected to be able to do the play without holding the script in your hands anymore.
You know all of your blocking. You know all of your lines. You know everybody else's lines. So you know your cues.
Yeah.
You know your scene changes, your costume changes, your songs if it's a musical, your choreography if it's a musical. That is when the script is out of your hands and it has to be all in your head, and it's a nightmare.
Yeah, you're no longer allowed to look at the page that says, "Walk over there. This is what you say."
And they don't expect you to be perfect. So, but
No.
you do. They are expecting you if you go up, you say line or
You stay in the moment. Line. Stage manager gives you the line. Then you keep going. Hopefully.
hopefully.
I mean, it was high school theater as well. For me, Joey's all pro, but
Even high school. We did a production of The Crucible. We're opening it lasted almost 4 hours because one of the judges could not remember his lines in the courtroom scene, and we kept going around in circles.
Oh my god.
He jumped pages. He went back, and like, we can't help you. You're leading the scene.
Oh my! It went on for 4 hours
The show opening night went on for almost 4 hours.
because it was an hour-long courtroom scene where he
It was
just.
a nightmare. It was. There was a point. I was
How
playing
come you've
Reverend.
never told me this story
I
before?
thought I had.
This is
I
the
was
most
playing
awesome
Reverend,
theater
No.
story
I was
ever.
playing Reverend Hale. I'm like, you know what? I could justify my character leaving. I could justify my character storming off stage. I didn't,
gosh.
but I wanted to real bad.
that's when you like someone has to step up and like be a made up character that just starts saying those lines.
Well, none of us knew his lines.
Yeah.
Because they'll have
That's true.
a ton of lines to do
Yeah,
there in
that's
stuff.
true.
And,
So
yeah.
it was a nightmare.
Oh,
It was a
wow.
nightmare.
Yikes.
He got a very strong talking to after opening night, and it didn't happen again.
Magically, everything was memorized by night 2.
Mm.
Yeah.
Or
All
you
right.
just
Anyway,
do the Barrymore and you leave your lines scattered all over the set. So when you go over there to the phone, there's your lines, and you go behind the podium and there's your lines.
Yeah. Stay tuned for the spin-off podcast, High
Stork and
School
Joey
Theater
talk.
Nightmares. Joey will MC. We'll all be the guests.
Don't tempt him; he'll do it.
I know. You don't need another project.
No,
Okay.
I know.
Every single discussion between Curtis and Emily, who decided to play sisters and were the sweetest and sassiest pair I've ever seen. Deep Tea Pint's ability to convincingly convincingly play a 14-year-old girl. Emily's ability to come up with roughly 30 different NPCs for her background.
She did.
Apple doesn't fall far from the tree, does it, Stork?
I'm so proud.
I know. Jason's character putting on an entire song and dance number to ask somebody to homecoming.
That was epic.
Yeah. Adam's depressed emo kid coming together with his team to defeat his doom.
Emo kid with great abs.
Yeah.
Oh, naturally.
Right.
Of course. All 9 of the apps. Adam making me come up with a clairvoyant character on the spot, naming her Tapestry, and my somehow managing to make it a rhyming prophecy during a 5-minute bathroom break.
Bathroom breaks for the win right there. That was a Stu solution right there.
Yeah.
We here at Happy Jacks, we advocate for bathroom breaks when you are stuck.
And Tapestry.
The best name ever. Best name. Did you know that it was completely made up from whole cloth? No pun intended.
I did, because he told us almost right after.
Okay.
Because obviously, being all associated with Happy Jacks, we all knew about the famous Stu 5-minute bathroom break.
Right.
So like, it works. It works.
Yes.
Don't do that. You come out of the bathroom.
Yeah. Mike she was smart enough to use it.
Yes, she is amazing.
And Tapestry is a callback to Interpol X.
Yep.
We had a tapestry that was magical and gave us information. So that's a very fun callback. I don't know if anybody else got that, but yeah. Anyway, Jim convincing me to let an NPC actually be his character from the future. Okay, that's a really impressive GMing feat. To be a PC's future self and make it work. Well done.
Yeah.
Clapping again. We're clapping again.
Micah,
Okay.
again,
You're fantastic.
all the
She's
stories
incredible.
I heard, she was rocking it.
Yeah, so
She's
good.
the best.
And finally, Jim, being the quietest, most reserved player I've ever played with, making me nearly wet myself with his perfectly crafted jokes. To all my players, I love and salute you all. You're a hell of a team and great friends. I could not ask for better. To the hosts, GMs, and players of Happy Jacks, thank you for everything you do. The podcasting community have been with me through a lot of hard times and life changes, and I love you all dearly. Thank you all, Micah. Call me North on the Discord. P.S. I'm not crying. You're crying. P.P.S. Drink. Oh my God, that was so good.
It really was an amazing game. And it was lightning in a bottle. None of us had any idea that it was going to be that good.
Yeah.
No offense to Micah at all. I mean, at the beginning, we didn't know. And it just, from day one, we all just clicked. And having all those people be on their A game every single session and just be great foils to play off of and to throw things at you and you get to play and throw it back. And it was just, and have it be all remote. I've had that happen at a table because there's that energy, but it's a lot harder, at least for me, a lot harder to do on remote. And Micah was a fantastic remote GM.
I'm afraid there's no AP of this. You guys,
No.
this was, but my daughter Emily, who played in it, would then come in because Emily was stuck at home during the pandemic, and this was her outlet, and she would come and then regale us with these stories about what happened the entire day when we were all wrapped. It's because Emily wants to be a writer and was able to spin these stories, and so we all followed along with your game secondhand. Emily's character was Panzer, who was magnetic control, and DT Pints played her younger sister, and they were opposites and fighting and siblings and storming out, and it was just amazing, the role playing and the situations that they willingly would get themselves in.
Yeah.
Again, it's masks, so
Yeah.
it was Emily was so moved that she talked to a friend of hers from college, and we were starting to create a comic. I don't know where that's gone from there, but
As far as you know, it's still in progress.
she was so, well, it takes a while to generate a comic, but she
Sure.
was so impressed with this storytelling and so moved by the gaming, and it's a great example of what this hobby can do for you. It
Yeah.
just is inspirational
And how long did the...
transformational.
Oh, sorry. How long did the campaign run?
A little over a year, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to point this out too, because one thing I see on the internet and a lot of like indie hot takes for Masks, especially, people say Masks is not a long campaign game, and I just have to disagree.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's really easy to do a short campaign in, but the longer you play Masks, the deeper the characters get, the more entwined they get, the more in trouble they get. And if you have a GM who knows how to really weave a story that isn't just about defeating this one bad guy like a little comic book arc, that knows that the heart of Masks is not fighting the bad guy, but the drama between each other, then you can ride that system for so long.
Mm-hmm.
Like it is so great to with the drama and all the like being teen superheroes. There's so many places you can take that. And I think this is just a great example of that. Like with our APs, they tend to be a little bit shorter just because, we're trying to get through lots of games, and keeping everyone on a schedule like that with real life is really hard for longer than a certain number of sessions. But I think this is like proof positive that you can run an amazing Masks campaign that is like long term and stays engaging and only gets better with time.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but it was pretty much one whole school year, right? Culminating in the prom.
I want to say it was close to that. I think we started the school year and then it got up to the prom, so almost a full school year. And then we basically ran, if you want to break it into like seasons, it was like a 2-season arc. So we had up to a season 1 and then a second season. And as far as I know, Micah had planned an ish plan for season 1. She knew kind of what the main plot points were going to be, but again, you just hang the plot off that. Like you have those couple hooks, and then you just let the characters throw whatever they want and stick to those plot hooks. And it was great. It was so much fun. It's such a breath of fresh air in the middle of the pandemic, and got to make like new lifelong friends that are great.
And I'm really glad that you guys didn't lean so heavy into the teen drama that it became intense and heavy and depressing, because the stories that Emily was telling me is that there were some moments, and Emily's character was a broken toy. If this were the Breakfast Club, she would have been the greaser character with the leather jacket, the Judd Hirsch character.
Yeah.
Very that. Mm-hmm.
Judd Nelson
Yeah.
character. She'd very much be that one. And you could easily just lean into that and make it really intense and downer for everybody. And everybody can do that with their characters. And I was really impressed with how everybody was playing young and still having fun with it too. Everybody thinks Masks can be intense, and it can, but if only if you're an adult and you lean into the pathos and forget to actually have fun. You need recess.
Yeah. Well, and Masks, like Monster Hearts, absolutely is very that.
Yeah.
Masks has a lot in there to have those uplifting moments. And if you read through the book, like there's very specific about that. There have to be wins. And there's the drama between the team, but it's very important that they stay a team. And it doesn't really work if you lean too hard into the drama. So there can be like, oh, you have a crush and da-da-da. So there seems to be a lot of that. But if you get too hard into like the heavy stuff, then Masks stops working, because it's meant to be like the Teen Titans. It's meant to be, there's very serious moments. Oh, the doomed. Oh, they're doomed. We have to save them. But then after that, we go to prom. So you've got to have that balance of real world easy stuff and also lighthearted stuff, just like in the comic books. It really captures like comic books better than just about any other system as far as the arcs going with the specific genre of comic books it goes with.
Yeah, I would agree. 100%.
Emily was a big fan of Young Justice.
Yeah.
It's very Young Justice.
Perfect.
And that's
for
what
that.
she said.
It's very Young
100%.
Justice.
That's actually one of the things that the author lists in the front is like Young Justice. Like this is a game made to play Young Justice. Like, yeah.
And you're right. You have to give everything equal levity and equal weight.
Yes.
So, as a teenager, prom is effectively the end of the world.
It's so intense.
Right.
It is that dramatic. So you have to treat, as a teenage superhero in Masks, and this is just my opinion, you have to treat the prom with the same amount of weight and drama as you would staving off the apocalypse.
Yep.
Because to a teenager, it's the exact same thing. It's the exact same problem. The problem is you have powers to help you with the apocalypse.
Yeah.
Power is not going to help you with prom.
Nope. That dress. Nope. Your powers aren't helping with that.
So
Sorry.
for me, that's key. And I love playing teenage games. Like I love that genre. I fully stand all the Riverdale trash. I'm here for it. That's my genre. But you have to really, really lean in. I think you have to really lean into those tropes and really know what you're getting into when you get into those things and get willing to get dirty and
Like, you had to ask Emily's character to the prom, and it was a very big deal.
right.
Over the course of many games, you were working up to how that was going to happen.
Yeah, the
It's
second
great.
the second season was very much our will they won't they,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which was just super. Again, Your daughter's amazing to play opposite of. Especially, like, my character was absolutely simping. Like, again, if she was the Judd Nelson, I was the Emilio Estevez
Yeah.
goody
What?
two-shoes guy. I know.
Stork's daughter is a thespian player? Shocking.
Weird.
What?
Yeah.
Wait. How does she roll?
I'm trying to remember.
She claims that she has my bad luck, but
Oh.
Masks isn't that bad, and because you can embrace the failures with
Yes.
it's a whole kind of different dynamic.
It's
That's true.
built to fail forward.
She
It's
said
so
she
much fun.
failed a couple of times spectacularly that moved the story forward in many, many great ways.
Oh yeah, there was time she like dropped a house on
Yes.
people.
Changed the story.
Mike is in the chat and she says she rolled fine.
Micah, I'm gushing over your GM skills. Emily had nothing to say but great things, and she would tell the whole story, like I said, at the dinner table, and we would all sit there and oftentimes I'll finish and leave, and I'd wait for her to finish telling her story because it was so great to hear what was going on in that game.
Yeah.
It was, and there were a lot of balls in the air, and you had a lot of characters that were all wanting to do different things, and I'm amazed at how well you were able to allow each of the characters to follow their backstories as well as, and then still have a group stuff as well. It was amazing what you were able to pull off. I am in awe of your skill set.
That's a great success story.
Yeah.
Yep.
And another reason people should sign up for Jackercon and make new friends and play with other amazing people in the Happy Jacks community.
Again, Happy Jacks bringing people together.
I'm also proud of Happy Jacks for exploring sort of the off the beaten path games.
Yeah.
Masks it's a big game, but when you look at the pie chart of games and all that, it's like a sliver of a sliver of a sliver down there in the
Well,
tiny little-
and when we first started playing, it wasn't. Like
Right.
when Jib first ran the Masks campaign, #Justice Heroes, it was still in beta. Like it hadn't been even released. The Kickstarter wasn't even over, I don't think.
Yeah.
So that's something I really think is important too, because we're independent. We don't worry about getting sponsorships from big companies. We don't have to cater to them. We don't have to be like, we love D&D. D&D's the best. We
do love. I mean, it's fine,
right.
but
I'm not saying, but we don't have to
we don't have to
constantly.
say it.
Yeah, we can play small indie games that the publishers, well, now Magpie could afford to sponsor us. Now that they've had a multi-million-dollar Kickstarter with Avatar: The Last Airbender, but at the time we were able to, we can play indie games because we don't have to worry about having a publisher who can pay, a certain amount per episode or whatever. We get to be like, I backed this weird Kickstarter and I want to play this game, so we're playing it.
Well, and that's what I was going to say. Come back to this. Circle back is Micah found Masks through the Happy Jacks APs.
Yeah. And we, especially with our one shots, we do a bunch of little weird indie games. And I was actually talking on Twitter about that. I was like, hey, what weird little indie game should we run? And then we had a bunch of people like posting games they wanted us to try out. Because a bunch of us are also indie creators, like me and Jason and Chris Gray and everybody. Like, so we understand. It's like, please look at my game. Please play my game. It's good. I spent like half my life on it. Please play my game.
Yeah.
So it's so much fun, and you can discover there's a perfect game for everything. I know people try and like make the big games or like giant GURPS that can do anything and D&D but space. Sorry, I'm a little bitter that I've spent like the last 2 years designing a space game, and then D&D is like space D&D, and I know it's been a thing for a long time, but I'm a little bitter. Anyway, but if you go and look at like the indie games, like there is a perfect game for the exact thing you want to run somewhere with the exact vibe and the exact setting and the exact right amount of mechanics that you like. So
No excuses.
spinning off, go look on the internet for indie games.
Don't be afraid of new systems. It's okay to learn new systems, I promise.
Or go through the Happy Jacks AP backlog
Yeah.
and watch some of them, and you might be inspired.
Yeah. We also, on the Discord, we put together a huge, still growing database of games. And people have just been adding to it. So if you go, I should probably put it on the website too, but we had it. No, I did. I put it on the website. Go me. If you go to the community tab, I think last I saw it had over 300 games. and it's a spreadsheet, so you can sort it by setting or type of game or publisher, I don't know, but you can sort it by and find exactly what you want, and there's links to where you can legally obtain it.
Very cool.
So yeah, it's super fun, and it's really helpful because there's a lot of great indie games out there that even those of us who are really in the indie scene don't see, because social media has bullshit for algorithms or whatever. So it's been really neat to go through and be like, wow, okay, buy, follow that person on itch.io. Okay, so there's been I found a lot of very cool games looking at it, and there's a place to submit more. So if you are an indie designer or you have a favorite game that you see isn't on there, you can add it. It's just a little Google form thing. So
Even off the indie thing, there's also just older games that are still around that are also worth exploring and looking at. I mean, I've been mage curious for a very long time. I really want to play a mage game, and it's been around for 20 years,
More than
one
that.
or another. Never been able to play it,
yeah,
but there it is. It's that old. And I always harp on Traveler, and it's been around a million years. And
yeah,
it's
we love
great.
Traveler.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So don't limit yourself with the big dog on the block. Go look around. There's all kinds of things out there to play around in.
or even just the popular ones right now, like PBTA, like having its moment in the sun, but for a long time it was like Savage Worlds, and there's kind of these cycles, and right now it's very much the Forged in the Dark games are kind of the new hotness, and you can absolutely play those games, but also realize that there's a lot of other stuff out there.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
There's flavors of things for everything.
You can eat a hamburger every night, but try a steak some night, or a chicken sandwich, or a turkey club.
Yeah.
Or go out for Middle Eastern food if you're really feeling adventurous. There's all kinds of things to try.
Oh my god, I'm so hungry.
Right? How dare you, though?
I forgot to eat again.
Same.
Okay. All right. So, thank you very much. Oh, yeah, we did. Okay. Thank you very much for joining us for season 30, episode 6, with great sound the whole time, I'm going to point out.
You've been saying it's a matter of working it out, and you worked it out.
I worked it out.
None of us had doubted you.
I know.
We all knew that you would get it.
I doubted me.
It was a matter of you got to dial these things in. Quite literally, she's got a whole thing with dials that she's dialing in.
Moving, yeah, and just spending a little bit more money every week is fine. I'm Kimmy.
Oh, I'm Joey.
Sorry.
I'm still Stork.
And thank you again. Don't forget to check out or sign up or mark on your calendar for Jackercon, July 22nd through 28th. Again, 24 hours a day, basically. happyjacks.org/JC for that. If you go join the Jackercon Discord right now, that's great. We're still kind of setting things up, so you can't sign up for games or set up games now, but you can join, start talking about it, make sure you're involved there. And the sign up and setup process should be done in a week or so. And we're going to leave you with a song. Today we are going to be leaving you with a song by, we're going to leave you with I Storked It. For Stork, and because Emily, we're so proud of our little stork apple that fell right under the tree. So we're going to end with that. And it's called I Storked It. It's by the Angry Folk Band, aka Stu, and I think you can find it at angryfolk.com, but it's also available everywhere where there's
go to the Google, type in I Storked It, something will pop up.
Yeah, absolutely. So, all right. Thank you all, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
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 Thanks.